Luka is one of the most special players in the entire NBA, and he's almost always in the running for MVP votes each and every season. He has a very special relationship with our point guard in Jalen Brunson. And Jalen Brunson was recently in an interview with The Athletic where he gave some comments on his special relationship with Luka, but he also spoke about what it felt like playing with Luka on the basketball court. And it led a lot of Knicks fans to wonder what it would take to get Luka to the Knicks and if it's even a possibility. Today, we're going to break down his comments and so much more. But before we get started, guys, about 73% of you watching this video right now are not subscribed. We are on the road to 5,000 subscribers, and we could really use your support. If you like content like this, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button because it could really support all the great content that we're creating for you. And now, let's get started. Jalen Brunson has a very special relationship with Luka, and I don't think this comes as any surprise. When he was with Dallas, one of the main factors keeping him and wanting him to stay with Dallas was that relationship with Luka. Joe Verdon from The Athletic states the following: "Say what you will about the twists and turns that led Brunson to signing that 4-year, $104 million deal with the Knicks last summer. But he is close with Luka, and playing together was a factor in Brunson wanting to stay in Dallas." When speaking about Luka, Brunson stated the following: "That's my brother. We got drafted together. I've been watching him grow since meeting him for the first time, seeing the player he is now. He's gotten better and better each year to the point where he's a top 5 player, an MVP candidate year in and year out. So whenever I get a chance to share the court with him, either with him or against him, it's always been special. I've got nothing but love for him." Brunson continued and spoke about his relationship with Luka and said the following: "We haven't really talked about the game or playing against each other, but we talk every now and then, always try to check up on each other. I just know he's a competitor. Everybody knows what he's capable of. Obviously, when we're playing and we aren't teammates, we aren't friends. But off the court, it's a special relationship." And that sounds like a very special relationship. The way Jalen spoke about Luka and the way he plays, the way he's seen him evolve and grow, turning into this MVP caliber type of player each and every season for the last few years, is important for me to hear. Brunson doesn't give everybody praise, and Brunson is a great player in his own right. So to hear him give so much praise to Luka is noteworthy. And it's comments like these that lead myself, other fans, and other type of league sources to believe and want to see Luka and Jalen join forces again on the Knicks potentially and see what they can do. But I want to speak to the realistic aspects if that could potentially happen. But before I do that, I just want to go back to Brunson's comments and how important it is to take note of what he said about Luka. Not only about Luka's game, but his special relationship with Luka off the court. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The NBA is a connections-based league. It's half the battle. The other half is making the money work, making sure the contracts work, making sure that player wants to stay here for the long term. All of that stuff is the other half of the story. But the first half is getting him interested in joining the team that you want him to join. Jalen Brunson being part of the New York Knicks is always going to be a catalyst for so many other stars to want to come here. And Luka is always going to be part of that list because of the relationship he has with Brunson. The fact that they came up together, were drafted together, that matters. Did you hear how Jalen Brunson spoke about the way Luka plays and how he respects his game and the way he does the things he does on the court and how special it is? And then off the court, they have a very special relationship. All of those factors and those connections with Brunson and Luka matter, especially if a player goes somewhere in free agency and gets to control where he wants to go. That's when connections matter the most. That's why I say it's half the battle. The other half is all of that under the table stuff in terms of contract, staying here, what you want to build here, what you want to accomplish here, and selling them on the dream of New York. That's the other half. But if they buy into that and they already want to be here because of that connection, it matters so much. So now we go to the Knicks fans, and a lot of people under this video right now commenting, asking, Troy, why are you doing this? Why are you even entertaining this? Why are you entertaining a Luka to New York situation? Well, number one, it's being spoken about in a number of reports already. Number two, Jalen Brunson is openly speaking about his special relationship with Luka. And number three, a lot of fans have already asked me to speak about if Luka to the Knicks is a possibility. So I do want to answer that. In my opinion, given where Luka is right now in his career and the team that he's part of, and the fact that he has no control over where he would go, even if he requested a trade, I would say right now he would not join the New York Knicks, because even though the connection is there, Mark Cuban would never trade Luka to the Knicks, because he is definitely feeling a little bit salty about the Jalen Brunson situation in New York. He has egg on his face right now. Look at what Jalen Brunson is doing in New York. Do you think Mark Cuban is blind to that? You don't think he sees that? You don't think he's heard every single ESPN reporter call him out and basically say, how could you let Brunson go? And even his own team, and Luka, his one special player, his MVP caliber player in Luka, openly states he wished Brunson was still part of the team. That looks bad on you as an owner. Mark Cuban is not going to do the Knicks any favors. He's not going to make another mistake like he did with Jalen Brunson. He is going to surround Luka with as much talent as he possibly can handle, and he's going to try to make the situation around Luka as good as possible so a trade situation doesn't happen. But even if it did, Mark Cuban would make sure that trade does not happen with the New York Knicks. The only way Cuban trades Luka to the Knicks is if Luka does what Dame is doing right now, is basically stating to the management of Dallas and Mark Cuban, hey, listen, I don't care where else you trade me. I'm going to tell that team that if you get me, I'm not going to stay there long term, so you're better off not trading for me, because the only place I want to go is New York. If that situation happens, then yes, it's probably most likely that Luka will be a New York Knick. But if that doesn't happen, Cuban is not trading Luka to the Knicks. The other scenario of that would be if Luka entertains free agency and then goes to the New York Knicks. In that point in time, the Knicks would still have to move a lot of players to make it work. But that's another scenario where they could get Luka without having to give up all the assets that it would take to get him. Now, don't get me wrong here. If you could get Luka to the Knicks, if that's realistic, it's a possibility, and you're not gunning your team to get Luka, I would absolutely entertain Luka to the Knicks. Because let's say you keep Jalen Brunson, you have Luka, and let's say you keep either Randall or RJ and a couple of other pieces. Maybe you somehow even manage to keep Mitch in this deal. That squad is already a contender. Now imagine you can add another key piece here, another key piece in free agency here, and then obviously other teams and other players are seeing what the Knicks are building. So it's now becoming a lot more attractive to want to play in New York, and maybe you can get some other key pieces that way. The New York Knicks could absolutely be a threat and a contender in the East, a contender for a championship in the East. A lot of people don't believe that Jalen Brunson and Luka can work together. They worked in Dallas, and Brunson's an even better player now. So I think Luka and Brunson now would work even better, because Brunson's taken a huge step, and I think Luka has seen that, and I think Luka would trust Brunson even more to run point and could play off ball. But even more, even if that didn't happen and Luka still wanted to play more point guard play, Brunson would be okay with that. He's used to that, and he can play that two guard easily because he's more of a two guard anyways, and he can score so effortlessly. We saw what these two could do together, and I think it could get even better and stronger in New York because Luka respects Jalen Brunson so much, and that's so clear. But it's clear that Brunson respects Luka, and when you have that respect that's mutual on the court, You have two good players basically going into their prime or in their prime already. And they have such high ceilings. They're competitors. They want to win. It works. However, while it's nice to talk about and think about, and it's great hearing these comments from Jalen Brunson and him speaking so highly of Luka, I don't think it's a possibility that Luka gets traded to the New York Knicks this season or even next season. Again, the only way that's possible is if he goes to Mark Cuban and specifically states that he wants to be traded and only traded to the New York Knicks. But unfortunately, I don't see that happening. But if it did, the Knicks would likely be unstoppable and a contender in the East for years. Would I love to see it? Absolutely. But do I think it's going to happen? Unfortunately, I don't. If you like this video, go ahead and leave a comment below, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knick fans. Peace.